Okay, welcome everybody. Super excited about today's class. As always, really appreciate everyone that's here live. Ladies, proud of you for your self-care, always showing up. Really proud of you. And thank you for everybody who's watching this recorded. This is a fun class. It's a new class that we haven't taught before, so we're really excited about the topic. So let me share my screen. Share. Here we go. Gonna make sure that everyone can see my screen. If you can let me know. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, everybody, I am going to mute you ladies. And so Dr. Rappy and I are just gonna get started. Awesome. Welcome. So today what we're talking about is kind of something a little different. We're taking inflammation, fatigue, and anxiety, and we're going to talk about the connection between them. And what is your body really trying to tell you when you're experiencing these? So today we're going to talk about the root causes of each of them, the root cause of fatigue, anxiety, and inflammation. We're really going to talk about the connection. As you know, in functional medicine, we're always talking about getting to the root cause, but then we're also talking about the way our body is completely connected. We're not just inflamed. We're not just thyroid. We're not just hormone. Everything that happens in our body is connected. So this is really important. So we're excited to talk about this. We're also going to talk about how functional medicine identifies and addresses these symptoms, right? And then some simple strategies to feel better now. These are strategies that you know, but we're going to help you really implement them. What we have learned is, and the main reason why we continue to educate you every day, every week, every month, is we want to help you create the connection between how you feel, the changes you're making, why the changes you're making are so important, so that you will continue this healing process
Right.
that you're on. So, hey, Janet, I'm just going to mute you there a little bit. Okay. So, love this quote. Your body is not broken, it's just communicating to you, right? So often we're just wondering our bodies are changing, what's happening, and we take it as I'm just breaking down, I'm just getting older. True, we are, but our body is also giving us messages. Are we listening? This is really going to be a lot about are we listening? So, very often in some of the complaints, some of the feedback that we get, whether it's someone who's just starting with us, people on my free discovery calls, even some of the emails. I'm always tired. My anxiety feels worse lately. I can't focus. Everything hurts. My body feels off and I don't know why, right? So here we're going to make some really strong connections between why you could possibly be feeling this way. I love this. I'm a very visual person, so I love things like this. I love to see how our body is working together. And our goal is to put you on that healing path so it's working beautifully together, not these individual parts that are fighting against each other, right? Creating, screaming at us. No, let's come together. So, what we're going to talk about, and I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Rappy in a moment, talking a little bit deeper about inflammation, fatigue, anxiety. They're not separate. They feed each other as well. Inflammation.
They feed each other. If that's the key out of everything we talked today, they feed each other. Now, they're not singular. They drive each other. So what's inflammation? Inflammation is your body way of sending help to damaged areas. So think about it like this. You cut your finger, you get the bleeding to stop, and then the next day you look at your finger and there's red all around the cut. That's the healing process, but it's inflamed. That's inflammation, helping the healing process to take place. Chronic inflammation is ongoing immune system activation. So I have inflammation for a period of time. Once it becomes chronic, it's more based on that it's stimulated or it has a negative activation of my immune system, and the immune system is what's driving that inflammation to continue. Okay. Symptoms, we all know these: pain, puffiness, weight gain, brain fog is huge, sluggish digestion. So we see a lot of symptoms that have a tiny relationship, but they're connected in this big circle. Your body's SOS signal, screaming, help, help. Yeah, most of us do this. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So we ignore it and then it gets chronic. Same thing with Dr. Lake and I. I'll tell people, they'll say, my back. I say, all right, I'm going to adjust you, but it's not a one-time fix. We not only do we have to fix the misalignments of the spine, but we also have to help you understand, how did you get it? What activities were you doing inappropriately? What bad mechanics, lifting, whatever it is. So it's really important to fully understand that, okay? Where am I at? Oh, puffy sweat. Didn't I do this one? There it is. I don't have the control. So what happens when your body feels off? Even your labs are normal. We hear this all the time, but the doctor said my labs are normal. Okay. Well, let's look at your labs from our perspective and see what they say. So that puffy, swollen feeling that you can't explain, we get that. And I go back, Lori. So puffy, swollen feeling you can't explain, your joints ache and your brain feels really foggy. The reasons why you feel heavy, tired, inflamed, what's happening when your body feels off. So we get this a lot. I'll never forget this. We had a lady years ago, a teacher, God bless her. She'd come in and every single time she'd point at her ankle and say, this ankle is swollen. And I'd look at her other ankle and I'd say, it looks like a twin to me, but they were both swollen. She just didn't recognize they were both swollen. And so as I tried to explain to her about systemic inflammation, she really had a hard time understanding that, but it's a big deal. It's a huge problem. Go ahead, honey. Functional medicine reframes, an immune response gone rogue. This happens to a lot of us. Autoimmune, immune system gone rogue. I have an autoimmune. Lori has an autoimmune. We've got a bunch of people with autoimmune conditions. We've had great success putting people into remission, and it's a protocol that we use, and it's just a matter of deciding, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it for a period of time until I get the result I'm looking for. Remission is possible. We're two examples of it. I think we've had 10, maybe 12 people in the last 9 months go into remission. So it's doable. It's just, you got to do the right work, and you have to work with people that know, okay? Just because you got a degree doesn't mean you have it and have experienced it. So when your body's defense system doesn't work, or a system doesn't know when to stop, it's in this constant motion. It thinks it's trying to catch up and repair. Systematic stress at a cellular level, every single cell. It's really in there. The undercurrent beneath fatigue, weight gain, and mood swings, without question. Okay. And a breakdown of communication between your body systems. This is an important feature here. When your body systems, like Lori said, they're all connected. They're synergistic. You're an entire unit. You're a whole body. Somebody says, well, it's just my thyroid. Is it? No. Your thyroid affects all these other areas. Those areas are being affected. So you are an entire human being. And there's a lot going on in there. Okay? And so, Dr. Relate can relate to this. I have a gentleman, he's probably in his mid-80s. I've been seeing him for 20 years. He comes in and I go, let me guess, you got an upset stomach. And every time he comes to see me, he comes in, he goes, my stomach is upset. I know I need to be adjusted. And I adjust him and his stomach's fine. It's crazy. We love it. We learned that in school. Hard to tell some people that because they don't grasp the concept of we are an entire energy ball around us and we're the center of that force. It's amazing stuff. I'm sure Dr. Lake's got some great crazy stories of stuff she's done. We've seen a lot, right, Lori? Yeah, it's been amazing. So what causes the inflammation? Well, here's an example. I've asked people, do you think stress can cause inflammation? No, of course it can. Stress can cause cancer. They've proven that. So inflammation is directly related to all of these different physiological and emotional states in our body. Poor diet, toxins, and blood sugar imbalances. Just blood sugar alone can send you down a path of massive disease. Gut dysfunction, infections, nutritional deficiencies. I ask people this many times. I said, do you think you got a nutritional deficiency of any kind? Oh, no, I eat so clean and so good. And when I look at their labs, there no question they've got hypochlorhydria. So they're not breaking down their food, so they're not absorbing, but they think they are because they think they're eating the right stuff. So there's more to it than that. Nutritional deficiencies, you can think I'm eating perfect and have deficiencies because I'm not breaking down and absorbing like I should. Chronic stress, poor sleep. I'm a 4.5 to 5 hours max sleeper. And everybody talks about 8, and I preach 8, but I do a few things that reduce my need. Like right after lunch every day, I lay in a recovery blanket. It looks like a sheet and it's shaped like a sleeping bag. And it's grounded. So I go in there, I cover up and I go in there and I do a little 20-minute meditation while I'm in there. So that helps with my not needing 8 full hours. So I have 4 to 5 is good for me. Leaky gut, been there, done that. I'm sure that's how I got my Hashimoto's. Hidden infections, sedentary lifestyle, alcohol and smoking. You know, we don't discourage people. We just say that's your choice. Everybody should have their own choice, just like the vax. We never told somebody take it or don't take it. We told people if you believe that the COVID vax is safe and it's okay for you to take, then you decide. We didn't take it. Now listening to all of the stuff that's going on out there, we were smart about not taking it, and we appreciated the opportunity to be given that choice. We were ostracized a little bit by our families and friends because we wouldn't take it, but today we're happy we didn't. So, unresolved emotional trauma. Raise your hand if you were 5 years old at one point in your life. Okay, we've all had some kind of childhood trauma. I mean, come on. I can remember watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for the very first time. I had trauma from the big woolly boogie guy with the big teeth. Remember the big white guy, the monster? Yeah. So, those are emotional traumas that follow us in life. Maybe my dad told me, oh, you're never going to amount to anything. Those little words stuck with me my whole life. You'll never be good enough. You'll never amount to anything. And I got to say, I'm going to give my parents grace and forgive them. They were raised in an era where they didn't understand. That's how they were raised. Hard. My grandpa would say, I'll give you something to cry about, and he'd stomp on your foot. Old school. You know how I learned how to swim? He threw me in the lake. I'm here, so apparently I learned how. That's old school. So those are traumas that we all carry. Lori and I've done lots of work over the years on that stuff. It's really important.
And I'm going to add to that one really quickly. People don't give that credit, just like the stress of the damage that it can do to the body. That's why it is an important piece that also needs to be looked at and addressed. Unresolved and even daily trauma that we put ourselves through. That's why we add these to the list, because it's actually a very important piece to being in a healing journey.
What is anxiety? Well, I'm sure we've all had it, and it's different for everybody. We look at this, what's anxiety from a functional lens? Dysregulated nervous system. That word dysregulated means the same thing as downregulated, shut off, not working, it's twisted, it's broken, you can come up with all kinds of words, but that's really it's a fancy way of saying that your nervous system's not functioning normally. Blood sugar swings, nutrient depletions, magnesium, B6, gut imbalance, or gut-brain imbalance. So what's interesting about nutritional deficiencies, I'm always tweaking my stuff, and I do my blood work once a year. And up until this year, I really had a hard time keeping my A1C in the right range. It's always been slightly elevated. So, of course, I did all my research, and I did read that as we get a little older, like when you're starting to push the 70s, your A1C might creep up a titch. So it might be normal if it's slightly over. So I just didn't accept that. Classic. I don't accept that. And I changed up my routine a little bit. I changed some of my nutritional intake. And I added alpha lipoic acid twice a day on an empty stomach. And I just ran my blood work. And for the first time in 20 years, it was 5.4. So it was unbelievable. Not only a couple of points, but to me, I was like, hey, Lori, look, that's huge. That was huge for me. So just know that those things happen. Blood sugar swings, nutrient depletions, we did that. It's a signal from the brain and the body that something is out of balance. So I was having some, I'll admit this, I was having a little anxiety earlier today, this afternoon. We got back from lunch. I'm not sure what it was, stuff going on. We all have life, right? And I could feel it. And right before the class, I sat down and I looked at my bookshelf, and I have a supplement there that I normally take right after lunch, and I hadn't taken it today. That's it. It's that simple. Okay, so just know when you're on a routine and it's going, and all of a sudden something throws you off, even that can cause some anxiety. I started having some anxiety. I could tell. And Lori and I were interacting. I could just see that I kind of was short up here. I was a little edgy. I could feel it in my chest. So it can be like mental worry, physical tension, racing thoughts, feeling worried but tired. You feel wired but tired. That's what that is. Anxiety is often your nervous system's fight or flight, stuck in on position. So we all have stuff going on in our daily lives, and they can give us anxiety, Contributing factors would be biological, physical root causes, blood sugar instability. Again, elevated blood sugar is going to cause inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause to most disease out there. It's one of the primary causes of heart attack, strokes. So just know that. Nutrient deficiencies, we've talked about that. Thyroid imbalance. People don't realize when your thyroid is off, it affects everything in your body, all the other systems. So let's reverse it. I have some anxiety. I'm feeling stressed. I'm getting a cortisol dump, and that's blocking my T3 to T4 conversion. Now my thyroid's not working, all because I have some anxiety. So what do? Well, we do the things we teach here. I do a lot of breath work. I meditate every day, multiple times a day. We do all the same stuff. The key is you have to acknowledge, recognize that it's starting. I'm in it. What do I need to do? First, I want to do my breath work, vagus nerve, stimulate, calm down. And then I got to go backwards and go, okay, what's going on? How did I get here? Okay. So thyroid imbalance is big. And I've got Hashimoto's, so I have to be really cautious. Poor gut health. This can happen pretty easily. An example is somebody who's taken a omeprazole or some kind of a GERD, gas stomach, reflux, heartburn. When they're taking those, they shut off the ability for your stomach acid to be produced properly. And that's going to lead to dysfunction, leaky gut, all of it. So it's really important that we have really good gut health. Even though I'm not in detox or anything like that, I still use the GI Synergy every morning. I put it in my shake every morning. I use some L-glutamine too, because it's helpful for other areas. And so for us that are over the age of 60, I would suggest that everybody be taking creatine monohydrate is really shown through research some great benefits for brain function. So that would be something we could talk about. And hormone fluctuations. This does happen in men. So if you are in a relationship and you got to give the other person in that relationship some leeway, because us men have it too. And I don't know why we didn't call ours menopause and women's ladyopause, but we got andropause instead. So biological root causes, mitochondria. Mitochondrial fatigue. Mitochondria are these little tiny energy producing factories in your cells, and they're pretty sensitive. We want them working at the maximum efficiency, and they create energy in the body. And so many times people have got mitochondrial dysfunction because of stuff they've been doing in the past, and it takes time to get them healthy and working properly before people really come back to a place where they're like, I'm feeling a full energy again. chronic inflammation of the brain. They're starting to talk about inflammation, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, they're all in the news. Alzheimer's is not what they thought it was. For years, it's the plaque, it's the plaque, it's the plaque. Well, now the research has shown it's not the plaque. So it's inflammation of the brain tissue, neuroinflammation, inflammation of the brain tissue. There are some products out there that are designed for that. I know Apex Energetics has a neuroinflam. It's called Neuroinflam. That's pretty good. But just remember, your brain inflammation could be just as harmful to your overall health as your body. If you got an inflammation in your body, so it's really important to stay on top of that. Brain fog, could that be part of it as well? Sleep deprivation or poor quality sleep. Yeah, for those that need 8 hours, you got to get them, period. It's important, okay?
You know, before I go to the next slide, I just wanted to add something. In the hormone class that we send out the second week of transition, for those of you that might remember that class, we talk a lot about different hormones, your adrenals, your cortisol, and how they connect. And I think the topic of anxiety is a real big one right now, where people are more open and talking about it. I'm anxious, I have anxiety, mental health, all those different pieces. What's tough is right now, what we're seeing is a huge increase in the amount of medication that people are getting because they're going to the doctor saying that I have anxiety. This is how I'm feeling. I have this anxiety. They give them the medication. We all know it doesn't work. It doesn't help them. And they have done a real disservice to their own bodies because they haven't taken the time to identify what is the root cause. Because as you're seeing is all of these things from the thyroid, your gut, your hormones, all of that. It's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So are you anxious? Yes, you could have an event in your life that's creating anxiety. We all have that. Yes. But is the contributing factors, all these things like Dr. Rappy just spoke about. So that's why I feel like anxiety, it's so important to see the connection it has with the other systems in your body, not to mention the things happening outside of your body as well, because it's just a really big important factor. And afterwards, we're going to talk a little bit more about, you know, the different things that we teach about it. But I just wanted to add that little piece right there.
I
Well,
used to think it was normal to feel exhausted. Oh, we get this one a lot, exhausted all day. Isn't that normal? No. You should be tired from physical activity and things you're doing, but not exhausted. When I think exhausted, I think I can't hardly move. I got to lay down. Okay. Better just a few weeks. Okay, go ahead, Lori. What do
oh,
you have to
sorry.
identify the root cause? Let me have you go forward.
Mhm.
Me or you? Who's up?
It's you.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. I didn't want to talk over you again. Identifying the root cause with comprehensive testing. That's what's important. We do all the testing. Believe me, you could spend thousands and thousands of dollars on testing. Believe me. We do is we try to be very cognizant of people's financial scenarios, and we want it to be reasonable so we can help as many people as possible. There are clinics out there that charge for what we do, they charge 10, 15,000 bucks. And I just don't think that's reasonable. I want to help people. Lori and I both have been doing this a long time. That's my goal. And so we want to be reasonable. Rebuilding energy systems, the adrenals and mitochondria, there again, mitochondria is on a cellular level. Adrenal glands really are in drive mode most of the time, except for when we're sleeping. Support inflammatory pathways, gut, liver, immune, create new sustainable lifestyles focused on nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, and hormone imbalances. So when people say to me, do I have to do this forever? Well, no, you can go back to what you were doing and feel terrible, right? So somebody will say, do I have to eat like this? I said, how do you feel? I feel great. Well, why wouldn't you want to continue? I had somebody say, well, these supplements, do I have to take them forever? I said, oh, well, let me ask you this question. You're on 4 different medications. Do you have to take those forever? And I get that blank look. So why do you put that double standard on me? I'm giving you healthy stuff that's all natural that your body needs. The doctor's giving you a medication that's screwing up your systems, causing you other problems. You've been taking those for 25 years. I got you taking supplements for 6 months, and you're like, do I have to take them forever? No, go back to what you were doing. No problem. I'm taking mine. I feel amazing. So it's really interesting. You just have to understand these are lifestyle changes. This is stuff you need to do to be healthy. And if you don't like feeling good, then go back to what you were doing. I know Lori, the smile on her face is like, okay, we can move on from that. Sometimes tough love is necessary. I do
Now,
it to myself.
I wasn't thinking that at all. No,
Oh,
I
good.
agree with you. The amount of
Good.
emails and comments that we get, and our goal is to put your body in a healing path. And it doesn't happen overnight. When you were working together in an active program, and a few people on here were in active programs and others were not, or alumni, but that are continuing to make those healthy choices because to what the doctor said, because it makes them feel good. And also we have to constantly be addressing the changes in our bodies because we're constantly changing. So this is why we test. So
And you
the
know what? Let me add to that constantly changing part. Think about it like this. Right now, it's really hot out here in the desert. Everybody's sweating a lot. So everybody should be doing some kind of electrolyte replacement, right? But in the winter, when it's 70 degrees out and people aren't sweating, a vast majority of them aren't going to use any electrolytes because they don't feel like they need anything. So you just got to know that seasons change. You're going to change what you do in the winter. You're not going to do that in the winter. Maybe do it more in the summer, those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the practical daily tools, these are the things that we teach all the time. The reason why I like to present them in all different ways, again, like I said at the beginning, so that you can make the connection on why you should follow it, not just because we're like, oh, you need to remove all those bad foods and eat these healthy foods. We're just trying to be annoying, trying to make you miss out on your favorite foods when none of that is true. What we're teaching is anti-inflammatory nutrition. You can put so much in front of this. I'm currently on an anti-cancer nutrition, anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiety. You can call it whatever you want, a healing nutrition. But the food is one piece of a big puzzle that helps to put our bodies in a healing path. And it's just very, very true. It doesn't mean that your favorite food, your cake, whatever, you can never, never, ever, ever have it again. That's not true. It just means it in moderation, right? And we have to listen to our bodies. If we eat something and our body really doesn't like it, then don't eat it. We have one body. This body does a lot for us. The daily stress management and breathing. I just can't emphasize this enough. Doing 5 minutes of breath work in the shower while you're driving, while you're making your morning tea or your coffee, whatever it looks like, we need to create space for daily stress management because going back to the example about anxiety, stress, whatever you want to call it, right? So let's say we're having this anxiety, not sure what the root cause is. Maybe it is something that's happening in your life. Maybe it's because of underlying issues. We probably won't know, but you can manage it naturally for free at any time during the day with breath work. It's powerful, powerful. And then you're supporting your adrenals, your hormones, your immune system. How are you doing that? By following everything we're talking about, from the exercise to the nutrition, to the stress management, to the supplements, and then prioritizing your routines. We've got to get sleep. The only way to get good sleep and have a good morning routine is by having a good evening routine. It's all connected. It is all connected, but you have to be intentional about your choices. So that's why I love the wellness journey. I love this visual. Everything we're talking about is whole body wellness. So all of our systems are connected, right? So that also means the choices, the healing choices that you make on a daily basis, those are also connected, from nutrition to your movement, your sleep, the support that we provide, your mindset. Everything starts and ends with your mindset. When you wake up, you make a decision. You're making little tiny decisions every single moment. And you can decide with your mind, today's going to be a great day or today's going to be a crappy day. What am I going to choose to focus on? Right? It all starts and ends here. And I know I just wrote an email that I think it was yesterday about that as well. The personalized supplements, those are not there to torture you. They're not. They are not. Each one has a very specific purpose. So allow it to do it. And it's not overnight. It takes time. It took time to get to where we are now, if it's not in a good place. So it's going to take time for your body to adjust to them. You may start taking them at the beginning. Your body's like, ooh, what's happening? That's okay too. Give your body some grace. Give it all some grace, some time for your body to get used to things. But they are a very important part of the process. Your daily routines, important. The detoxing. So most of you here are through a detox, but that's so important just to cleanse, support, get a really good reset. The hormone balancing, we need to identify what's going on with our hormones so we can help support them back into balance. Same thing, nervous system regulation. This is the breath work, the calming our bodies down. We're just going and going, going all the time, right? I mean, what are we triggering in our body? Not health, not healing. So we have to bring it all down. So another thing I wanted to add here is very often the doctor and myself, so in emails or in meetings, we hear things like, oh, this feels better, Lori. This piece is feeling better. I was having problems with my foot and the inflammation in my foot. What am I doing that has caused that? And we'll say, all of it. You can't just take one piece out and say, oh, it's just because of this. No, it's a combination of everything you're doing. So that goes for the other way. Oh my goodness, I don't feel good right now. Something has happened. Well, we can rarely identify the one piece that's out. That's why we have to look at all of it as a healing process. All of it. Did you want to? I saw your hand
I
up.
just wanted to add this piece. I want everybody to keep this in mind. Hippocrates, food is medicine. And when we get away from the mainstream lifestyle and pills and all that hoo-ha and start living a natural, holistic lifestyle, chiropractic for your spine, all of these things, people start realizing that I can tell when I eat certain foods. They start to recognize it because their body wakes up. Food is medicine. We all feel better, but it's all because we changed what we consume. It's that simple. That's thousands of years old. That's not last week. Food is
So
medicine.
some
Hippocrates.
some of my favorite emails that I get are from people that did their second blood work and maybe went independent for a couple of months, and then they email me and they say, oh my goodness, Lori, I brought this back eating. I thought I missed it. I started eating this again and that again, and I feel terrible. So I eliminated it. I went back to transition and I immediately felt better. And it was almost like they needed that to happen to prove to themselves that the changes that they made, how positively they were being affected. That it's not, we're trying to torture you and oh my goodness, you can't eat that. That's also why I shared a little bit in that email yesterday. I shared a little bit about my own journey through Crohn's and thyroid nodules, Dr. Rappi with his Hashimoto's. Anytime something has happened and we identify something, what we do is we say, okay, we are already doing obviously a lot of really good things. We don't eat perfectly. No, we don't live 100% perfect with everything. But when something happens, we sit back and we say, okay, we need to make some changes. Things are changing in our bodies. We need to do a new reset. We need to do a new evaluation of new things we need to do, kind of like this new protocol that I'm on right now, and make those changes. It's not about sacrificing. For us, we see it as continuing our healing journey so we can be here longer. It's all about how you reframe it. And I know everyone here has had to make those sacrifices of things that they can't have for all different types of reasons. One person here, very much, especially because it has a lot of different sensitivities and allergies. And we are so proud of the reframe of, you know what, now I have a list. It's a little smaller, but at least I know what is supporting my healing process versus what was supporting my disease process. So this is about listening to our bodies, making the appropriate changes, and guess what? Yeah, things happen and you have to make changes again. That's kind of where we are right now. And I know for me personally, I started making these changes around 3 weeks ago. And ever since my surgeries last year on my face, and for whatever reason, I've had these weird rashes and things on my skin that I've never had my entire life and really couldn't pinpoint what was going on. I was just kind of going through the process. Well, just with the changes I'd made in the last 3 weeks, it's gone. Now, ask me what affected it, what in all the changes? I don't know. It was a combination of what I've been doing, and I'm grateful, and I'm going to stay on that path. So, this is just real life examples. Our goal is to help you guys also get onto that healing path and meeting you where you are right now. And guess what? In a year, we may have to meet you at another place that you're at. But this is what we do and how we support people. So I'm challenging everybody after this class to ask themselves, what is one symptom I used to ignore that now feels like a message from my body? Right? Can you think of things? One thing that I'm going to share here that I hear from a lot of people is a digestion thing. A lot of people really ignore bloating, gassy, diarrhea, constipation. They just are like, oh yeah, I've been like that for years. It's no big deal. It's like, no, your body's trying to tell you something and you've been ignoring it. So just as a fun little prompt, if you want to share, you can. Tomorrow, I'm going to share this class in an email. And if you want to reply and share, if you just want to keep it to yourself, you're welcome to do that too. And very last slide here. First, thank you everybody who came to our class today. We appreciate it. This is our next class. It is September 3rd. We are doing it a little earlier in the month because I am actually going to be out of the office this year for the week over my birthday. I'm very excited. I am traveling to Mallorca, Spain to go see our daughter and son-in-law for my birthday. I didn't have a birthday celebration last year because of my surgeries. And now with this new, diagnosis on my back, sometimes it makes you just stop and think of, what are the things I want to do right now that I've been putting off for when I have the time, when I have the money, when. So not putting it off. So we're going to do the class earlier because I am going to be away from the computer for a whole week and no need to worry. You're going to have lots and lots of prep and lots of emails and prep and everything for everyone. So you guys are going to be great. But please join us September 3rd. This is by far one of the best classes as well. Dr. Rappy teaches the brain-gut connection. Again, showing all those connections happening in our body. And what's cool also about showing all these connections is it's also showing what do we actually have control over, right? Because we don't have control over a lot of things that happen to us. But those things that we can control, like going back to that wheel, our sleep, our food, our supplements, our breath work, our mindset, we have a control over a lot of things. We just need to stop and give ourselves the time, the grace, and be more intentional with all of it. So thank you again, everybody who joined us live today. And thank you for those who watched this recording. I'm going to end the recording.